Hello everyone, it's Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life with day 14 of the lockdown list. My god, we've hit 2 weeks straight of these recommendations. We hope you're still paying attention, we hope you're still taking our thoughts and our recommendations on board here. Each movie we've suggested so far is one that we feel you can, while in isolation on the lockdown, you can certainly enjoy if you have one of the subscription services we have been going through. Amazon Prime, Netflix, Shudder, YouTube occasionally, and so on and so forth. Today's one is going back to the start almost, because at the very, very beginning I talked about a found footage, horror, and how much I dislike that genre, where it's very difficult to find the quality amongst the dregs. Well, this movie, today's recommendation, is one of those quality movies amongst the absolute dross that is found footage. It is a 2012 movie called The Bay. Now, the way to get my attention with found footage is to create a documentary-style movie. Similar to the other movie we talked about in these lists, The Tunnel, The Bay follows that formula, as it is a documentary almost, barring maybe the occasional scene here and there, and particularly the finale. It avoids a lot of the tired tropes we associate with found footage, such as characters carrying cameras when they shouldn't, running, shaky camera work, and all that rubbish. Because instead, what we have here is footage that is made up of news reports, aspiring reporters capturing July 4th festivities in this small town, police car dash cameras, CCTV, text messages, FaceTime on mobile phones, conversations between the CDC, and so on. It's a breath of fresh air, particularly in comparison to what we're used to within found footage. And it really sells this idea that we are now looking back at an event that took place, piecing together the footage, exactly that, the found footage of all these different reports and different events and what actually occurred. And the reason why that works so well as well is because the horror in this is more real than you might expect. It's an affection. That's it's an interesting subject to touch upon now. However, with this one, it's more body horror than anything else. This outbreak occurs in a very small seaside town, and the way the footage is shown, the way it's delivered, it basically feels like a real event. And it's something that just never happens in these types of movies, which is fantastic. And so basically, this infection spreads throughout these townspeople, coming from the water, which is a shocking amount of toxicity in them. It's been caused by the dumping of huge amounts of chicken feces into the bay. Because this town is built on chicken farming, it's such an important, integral part to their economy. They had to speed the growth. They wanted to speed the growth of these chickens, so effectively fed them steroids amongst other drugs, which has obviously affected the chicken feces, and that has in turn then created a mutant breed of a larvae, a creature, an insect that actually lives underwater. It's called Samothea esigia. I doubt I'm saying that correctly. And this thing now, this starts infecting people, and it is pretty graphic. I mean, I'm going to be straight with you. If you are uncomfortable with the sight of infections on body horror, so we're talking boils and spots and horrible stuff like that, wounds erupting from the body, boils exploding and stuff like that, The Bay is going to gross you out. I don't really get affected by horror, but if there's one style that does get me, it is body horror, particularly realistic looking stuff. It tends to turn my stomach. The Bay turns my stomach. It is very, very horrible due to its pure, depressing realism. And I think that's a very, very important point there, realism. Even when things really, really go to the wall at the end, it never loses that feeling of realism. There isn't really a story in the sense that we're not sort of following a set lot of characters as they go from one. I mean, there is a reporter woman and her crew who are a major part of the movie, and there's a few others dotted around, but mostly it's in each isolated case spread across the movie as we see the developing experience from the early morning sunshine, the festivities of July 4th, everyone having a good time, to the first outbreak of the infection, the sort of step up of it, to then as night falls and the hospital gets overrun by the sheer scale of the patients, and how it then develops, leading to the ending, which is obviously town under lockdown. It's funny, you know, you're saying these words about a movie and it's not even close to the same situation we're existing in now in regards to what this infection is, but the parallels as you watch it are very easy to draw. It's a very, very good movie and certainly one of the better found footage movies in the genre today. Now this one though is a Shudder film, so you will need a Shudder account either through your Amazon Prime or separately to watch this. However, it is also available on YouTube and Google Play for just £2.49. I think that there, just £2.49 for this, is more than worth it for the pure realistic horror that is The Bay. Make sure you check this one out and let us know what you think of it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?